What I want to show you now is what I consider to be one of the most important documents when working with a new client. And I'm going to go out to my website under Resources, and that's the page you're looking at here. And if I click on Design, when you go to create a website, you have to design it, so that's why it's under Web Design. And this is the planning process, and it's the very first item here. So if I click on the Design Questionnaire, and what this is a document I would email to any new client I get and ask them to fill it out. And there is a fair amount of information inside this document. It's a full 4 pages of questions for them. And if a client isn't willing to answer these types of questions, then usually it's a client that I don't want to be working with, because they're going to make it difficult for me to truly fine-tune what they want. And you'll find a lot of clients don't understand what they want, so this helps me to narrow it down for them. So the idea is we start out with just some basic information. I always tell them, don't worry if you don't understand a question, just leave it, because we always meet again and go through all of these questions. I find these questions interesting in that some clients have never really thought about some of the questions. Things such as purpose or mission of the organization. If I come to the homepage of a site, I should be able to figure out what it is that company does based on their homepage. And that's why I need to know the mission or purpose of the organization. And quite often when I ask a company this, they just kind of stop. Now, if they're a huge company, it's one thing, because they've got departments that have figured all of this out. And I do work with quite a few large clients. It's the smaller clients that haven't really thought about it. Even clients with 50 to 100 employees, it's the same thing. They haven't really thought about that. And I need to be able to present an image on the homepage. As soon as somebody comes to it, they're getting an image of the company. And that's a piece of their marketing, so it's important. I get into competitors, the short-term goals, future needs. Future needs of a website is an important piece because a lot of people, they either want everything and they want it now and think it's going to be very cheap, or they figure, oh, that particular thing I'm not going to write down because it would be too expensive. And they don't really know what is and isn't expensive, so I try and get them to write down everything, and then we can fine-tune based on that. The other thing, if we look at future needs, we can figure out a budget where we can phase in and kind of plan out some of these future concepts. So later on, when we go to implement them, it's a much easier process. So this is just a questionnaire of all kinds of information. Number 6 here is an important one. How are you going to decide if the website succeeded? In other words, did I do a good job or not? And I ask that question because some people think that just because they put up a website, they write down, we're going to get so many hits per day, and all of this other information that's not realistic. You don't instantly, the day after a website goes up, get a whole ton of people coming to your website. So I try and fine-tune that because there are a lot of expectations that people have of what their website will do for them. And then we get into scheduling, budget, information, who's going to provide what. If I have to create all the graphics and all the text for a website, it's going to take me a lot longer than if I can be provided that information. Therefore, the cost changes. So each one of these questions is an important one. I have continuously tried to narrow this down so it's not so long, but it just doesn't seem to work. If I remove one of these questions, then I end up having to add it in later or question them later. So this is a design document questionnaire, I call it, and it's something I've put together over the years and give out to new people. It kind of gives me a starting point as a web designer for what I need to gather, what they're looking for, and it's a takeoff point. So we're kind of coming together, me and the client. The client could be 20 people or just one person, but it gives us a starting point to work from in creating the project plan. So I would strongly recommend you create some kind of a questionnaire or document such as this for yourself. You can fine-tune it based on your own clients, but it gives you a place to start and some documentation for later.